The young German man stood bewildered at the bustling Grand Central Station, clutching a crumpled piece of paper, and looking utterly defeated. Crowds rushed past him, everyone absorbed in their own worlds, nobody noticing his distress. I felt compelled to stop. "Pardon me, sir. Do you need assistance?" I asked in German. His expression shifted to pure gratitude when he heard his language. "Oh, thank goodness. Yes," he said desperately, gripping my sleeve like a drowning person. "I'm entirely confused. I don't understand English and everyone ignores me when I try to speak." "Relax, relax, I'm here now," I reassured him, leading him away from the rushing masses. "What's your destination?" He showed me an address in Queens. Definitely not a tourist location. Clearly someone's home. "My niece lives at this place. She was meant to collect me, but my flight landed ahead of schedule and I cannot contact her." "Did you attempt to phone her?" "My device isn't functioning here. I'm confused about American technology," he explained, his accent distinctly Bavarian. I dedicated the following 35 minutes helping him understand the train system, explaining how metro cards function, ensuring he grasped which stops to watch for. He was gentle, appreciative, bringing back memories of my own uncle who died 2 years prior. "You're extremely generous," he said in German while we stood on the platform. "What's your name?" "Marcus." "Marcus Bauer, that's a wonderful German name. Are you German as well?" My uncle and aunt came from Hamburg. I was raised hearing German throughout my house. I responded in his tongue, but I'm American. Born right here in this city. We conversed comfortably throughout the train ride. He shared stories about his village in Bavaria, his niece who'd relocated to America for university, how this was his initial visit. I explained my interpretation work, how I freelance for different companies, how I treasure the German language despite rarely using it in regular conversation. "You should visit me in Bavaria," he urged. "I'll display the authentic Germany, not merely the tourist locations." I'd enjoy that tremendously. When we arrived at his stop in Queens, I volunteered to escort him to the location. The area was pleasant, but obviously costly. Townhouses worth fortunes, streets that were pristine and peaceful. "It's this one," he said, pausing before an exceptionally attractive townhouse. "Let's discover if my niece is present now." He rang the doorbell and moments later, the door swung open. A broad man in a charcoal suit appeared, obviously protection not family. His face changed from blank to startled when he spotted the elderly gentleman. "Mr. Hoffman, we were preparing to collect you," he said in German. My flight arrived ahead of time. He clarified in the identical language, and this helpful woman assisted me in finding my way here. Her name is Marcus. The security individual, I was absolutely interpreting him as protection now, examined me with fresh scrutiny. "You understand German?" "Yes, I helped the gentleman with the trains," I answered in German. I simply wanted to ensure he arrived safely. Before he could speak, a voice from within shouted in German, "Klaus, who's visiting?" And then she emerged. The woman from inside appeared probably in her mid-30s, tall and athletically built, with auburn hair and striking features that were distinctly German. She wore charcoal pants and a navy blouse with the sleeves pushed up, revealing toned arms marked with subtle tattoos. Her presence was instantly authoritative, the type of individual you recognized even in a packed space. When she spotted her uncle, her whole face shifted from controlled to affectionate. "Uncle, you arrived ahead of schedule." "I should have verified," she said in quick German. "It's not your responsibility, Sophia. The plane was ahead and observe. This wonderful woman assisted me," her uncle replied in German. Sophia's intense eyes located me, and I experienced the power of her attention like something physical. "You assisted my uncle?" she questioned me in German. He was confused at Grand Central. I simply showed him the proper train. I responded in the identical language. I wanted to guarantee he reached his location. "She understands German flawlessly," her uncle said, "and so generous. She assisted me with everything, the metro card, instructions, even escorted me here to guarantee I arrived." "It was a delight to assist," I said in German, beginning to retreat. The circumstance felt abruptly intense, this woman's attention unnerving. Wait, Sophia said, and I observed Klaus positioning himself to obstruct my departure. What's your name? Marcus Bauer. Really, I should depart. Do you know Queens? Her uncle inquired in German. Could you remain for supper? I'd appreciate thanking you appropriately for your assistance. That's extremely generous, but I don't wish to impose. It's not an imposition, Sophia said in English now, her accent slight but detectable. You assisted my uncle when nobody else paused. The minimum we can accomplish is present you a proper meal. Her eyes captured mine. Please remain. Something about how she expressed it, courteous but with an underlying authority, made me anxious. This wasn't simply a thankful niece. This was someone accustomed to being followed. 2 hours I heard myself say in English, but then I genuinely need to depart. I have obligations. 2 hours, she concurred, switching back to German. But her subtle smile implied she didn't think I'd genuinely leave after 2 hours, inside. The townhouse was as attractive as I'd anticipated, costly furniture, artwork on the walls. The type of prosperity that didn't require announcing itself. But there were additionally family elements, photographs of Sophia with her uncle, religious symbols, a warmth underneath the apparent wealth. Sit, sit, her uncle urged in German, directing me to the eating area. Sophia, present her something to consume, and address me as Thomas. Mr. Hoffman makes me feel ancient. Uncle, you're ancient, Sophia said with fondness in German. You're 83 years old. 83 youthful years. I couldn't resist smiling at their exchange even though they were conversing in German. Sophia noticed my expression and her eyes warmed. What would you prefer to consume, Marcus? She questioned, switching to English. Just water, thank you. She vanished into what I presumed was the kitchen, and Thomas settled across from me, examining me with perceptive eyes that overlooked nothing. He began conversing in German again, questioning if I was single, involved, making uncle conversation that was universal regardless of tongue. Uncle, leave her alone, Sophia called from the kitchen in German, obviously having heard. I'm simply making conversation. Single, I confessed in English, entertained despite my anxiety. And yes, before you inquire, it's deliberate. My work occupies me. Sophia returned with water and wine, settling at the head of the table in a position that felt both natural and commanding. What type of work do you perform? She questioned in English now. I'm a freelance interpreter, primarily German-English, but additionally French and Italian. I work with corporations, legal firms, occasionally tourists. And you understand German so excellently, she noticed. Where did you acquire it? From my uncle and aunt, like I mentioned. Then I studied in Munich for a year during college. My German is superior to my English, truthfully. Munich, Thomas said nostalgically in German. A stunning city. I used to visit there frequently when I was younger. They questioned me about my family, my work, my existence in New York, switching between German and English, examining my fluency in both. Normal supper conversation except for the undercurrent I couldn't precisely identify. Sophia's questions felt like a vetting. Thomas like an uncle evaluating a potential match. Klaus's continued presence in the entrance like security rather than personnel. I genuinely need to depart, I said in English after 2 hours had elapsed. I have interpretations to complete tonight. We'll transport you, Sophia said instantly in English. Klaus, prepare the vehicle. That's not required. I can take the train. It's already night. We won't permit you to take the train alone, she said firmly, switching to German for emphasis. Her tone implied this wasn't debatable. It's Queens, not secure at night. I wanted to dispute, but her uncle was indicating agreement, and Klaus was already bringing a vehicle around. I discovered myself being efficiently escorted into a black sedan, pleasant but not showy, obviously costly. Where do you reside? Sophia questioned in English as Klaus began driving. Brooklyn. Park Slope. Klaus, you heard. The drive should have been 27 minutes. Instead, Sophia spent 53 minutes questioning me further in English about my interpretation work, my clients, whether I worked from home. Questions that felt increasingly specific, increasingly directed. Do you ever work with legal documents? Occasionally. Why? Simply curious. The type of work you perform. The clients you possess. It's important to understand who you're working with in this city. We arrived at my building. A modest apartment building in a neighborhood that was secure but obviously nothing like her townhouse. Sophia examined it with an expression I couldn't interpret. This is where you reside? Alone? Yes, it's small but pleasant. Thank you for the ride and for supper. Marcus, she touched my arm as I moved to leave. Can I obtain your number? For my uncle. He'd appreciate staying in contact with you. For your uncle. I should have refused, should have identified the warning signs, the intensity, how this felt like more than simple appreciation. But Thomas had been gentle, and Sophia had been nothing but courteous, and it appeared impolite to decline. I provided her my number. Thank you, she said in English, her smile transforming her face from dangerous to genuinely warm. You were extremely generous today. I won't disregard that. After I exited, I watched the sedan drive away and attempted to dismiss the sensation that I'd just made a decision I couldn't reverse. My phone rang at 9:17 a.m. the following morning. Unknown number. Hello? Marcus, it's Sophia. I hope I didn't disturb you. Her English was flawless, the accent just making it more attractive. No, I was already awake. Is everything acceptable? Is your uncle all right? He's fine. He keeps discussing you. He wants you to come to brunch on Saturday. That's extremely sweet, but... And I concur. You should come. Please, Marcus. It would signify a lot to him and to me. I should have refused. Should have maintained boundaries with this intense stranger and her obviously wealthy, possibly dangerous family. But Thomas had been genuinely gentle, and refusing felt impolite. Acceptable. Saturday brunch. But just brunch. Just brunch, she concurred in English, but something in her voice implied this was just the commencement. Saturday brunch transformed into a weekly tradition. Every week, Thomas would prepare elaborate German meals while I assisted in the kitchen, interpreting recipes and chatting about everything from German politics to family gossip. Sophia would participate, occasionally with other women who were obviously associates. All of them conversing German among themselves, but switching to English when addressing me directly. You appreciate Sophia, don't you? Thomas questioned one afternoon while we were alone in the kitchen. He questioned in German, but I responded in English. We'd fallen into a pattern where he spoke his native tongue and I replied in mine, both of us understanding each other flawlessly. She's extremely pleasant, but Thomas, I barely know her. And I sense there's something you're not disclosing to me. What do you signify, dear? The women who come here, Klaus, who's always present. How everyone converses to Sophia with respect but additionally with caution. I'm not foolish. I know there's more occurring than what I observe. Thomas sighed, setting down the wooden spoon he'd been using. He switched to English, a sign he was being serious. You are intelligent. I always stated so. Yes, there's more, but it's not my story to disclose. If Sophia wants you to understand, she disclose herself. But is it secure for me to be here, to be involved with your family, with Sophia? You're more secure than anywhere else in this city, he said firmly in English. That I can guarantee you. That wasn't as comforting as he thought it was. After brunch that day, Sophia requested to speak with me privately. We went to her office, a space I'd seen from the entrance but never entered. It was elegant but functional, with a large desk, multiple phones, and a wall of security monitors displaying different parts of the neighborhood. You understand what I accomplish, she said without preamble in English, or at minimum you suspect. I suspect you're not simply a businesswoman. I'm precisely a businesswoman. It's simply that my business functions outside the law. She sat on the edge of her desk, examining me. I manage operations for my family in Queens, protection, some imports, dispute resolution. It's complicated. You're an organized crime. We're an organization that provides services the legal system can't or won't provide. You call it organized crime. I call it family business. The truth is somewhere in the middle. Her intense eyes were fixed on me. And Marcus, why do I keep inviting you here if you understand this? Because I'm useful, I said, attempting to sound more confident than I felt. Because you're useful, she agreed bluntly. You have language abilities I could use. And because she paused, selecting words carefully. Because my uncle loves you, and I respect my uncle's judgment. You want me to work for you. I want to present you employment, well compensated, interpreting documents, translating for meetings, assisting with communications between German families and our operations here. She named a monthly salary that was 4 times what I made freelancing. Legitimate work, just interpretation, nothing illegal. But for illegal clients. For clients who would appreciate your discretion and competence. Marcus, I'm presenting you financial security and protection. In exchange, you use your abilities to assist my organization communicate better. And if I refuse? Then we continue being friends. You come to brunch, talk to my uncle, no pressure. Her intense eyes captured mine. But Marcus, I think you should consider it seriously. You'll discover yourself in circumstances where having my protection is valuable. And compensating your rent with interpretations for lawyers who underpay you. It's a waste of your talent. I need to contemplate it. Take all the time you require. But while you're contemplating, come to this meeting Tuesday, just to observe. See what the work would involve, then decide. She pulled out a card with an address. Tuesday, 8:43 p.m. Klaus will collect you. I spent 4 days agonizing over the decision. Called my best friend David, carefully explaining without revealing too much. Sophia's presenting you employment interpreting for her family business? That sounds legitimate, he said over the phone. Her family business is organized crime, David. That's not legitimate. But you just be interpreting. You're not accomplishing anything illegal yourself. He paused. How much is she presenting? When I disclosed, he whistled. That's life-changing wealth, Marcus. And for something you're already excellent at. Is it genuinely that different from the legal work you accomplish now? Those legal firms have clients who are probably criminals too. You simply don't know about it. He had a point. I'd interpreted documents for legal firms that definitely skirted ethical boundaries. Was this genuinely that different? Tuesday evening, Klaus collected me as guaranteed. We drove to a warehouse in Queens, closed for the evening, apparently rented out for this meeting. Inside, about 17 women sat around a large table, conversing a mix of German and English. Sophia sat at the head, obviously in charge despite not being the oldest individual present. Our interpreter, one of the older women, said in German when I entered. Sophia says you're excellent. This is Marcus. Sophia introduced me in English. She's here to observe tonight. See if the work interests her. The meeting was surreal. They discussed territories, payments, disputes, switching between German, English, occasionally mid-sentence. I realized they were examining me, seeing how excellently I could follow conversations in both languages, whether I understood the implications of what was being stated. And I did understand. I heard them discuss protection payments, about settling scores, about deals with other families that were obviously criminal. But there was additionally an underlying code, respect, honor, rules about who could be targeted and who was off limits. It wasn't the lawless violence I'd imagined. It was organized, systematic, almost corporate in its structure. After 3 hours, Sophia ended the meeting in English. Ladies, we'll continue this next week. The women filed out, several of them nodding to me respectfully as they departed. So, Sophia questioned when we were alone. What do you think? It's precisely what I thought, and completely different simultaneously. Could you accomplish it? Interpret for meetings like this? Handle communications with our German contacts? Assist when families from Germany visit? Would I be secure? I signify if I understand all these things about your business. You'd be under my personal protection. Nobody touches you. Nobody threatens you. And if someone attempts, her expression went cold. They discover why individuals respect me. It's not simply about my language abilities, is it? There's another reason you want me in your organization. You're intelligent, Marcus. Too intelligent to lie to. She moved closer. Yes, I appreciate you more than I should. But I'm presenting you this employment because you're genuinely excellent and genuinely useful. My personal feelings are separate. But not completely separate. No, not completely, she admitted in English. But I'm not requesting anything personal. Simply to work for me. If something else occurs, it'll be because you want it, not because you feel obligated. I took the job. Partially for the wealth, because eliminating student debt and affording a decent apartment sounded amazing. Partially for the challenge, because the work was genuinely interesting. And partially because of how Sophia examined me when she thought I wasn't paying attention. Before we continue with what happens next, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. And if you're enjoying this incredible story of love and dangerous choices, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. Your support really means a lot. My first official assignment was interpreting at a meeting with a family from Hamburg. Important individuals, Sophia explained, who were considering expanding operations to New York and wanted local partners. You have to be flawless, she disclosed in English. These women are traditional. They don't trust easily. But if they see we have someone who understands perfect German, someone who understands nuances, it provides us credibility. The meeting went excellently. I interpreted flawlessly between German and English, caught subtle implications in both languages, assisted bridge cultural gaps. The Hamburg boss, Frau Schneider, was particularly impressed. Your interpreter is excellent, she said to Sophia in German, which I interpreted. It's rare to discover Americans who understand German so excellently, especially with such an authentic Hamburg accent. Her uncle was from Hamburg, Sophia explained in German, which I additionally interpreted. She was raised with the language. It displays. She's a treasure, Bauer. Protect her excellently. Frau Schneider said, and I interpreted that too. Attempting not to blush at being discussed like a valuable asset, after they departed, Sophia pulled me aside. You were flawless. Superior to I hoped. They were gentle, respectful, not like I anticipated organized crime bosses to be. We're not all violent, uncultured monsters, she said with a slight smile. Some of us appreciate art, language, traditions. Frau Schneider has an art collection that would shame most museums. And you? What do you appreciate, Sophia Bauer? Right now, her intense eyes captured mine. An intelligent woman who challenges my expectations every time I meet her. My phone rang. My personal phone, not the work phone Sophia had provided me. David, probably wondering how my first official crime interpreter employment had gone. Sorry, I should answer this. Proceed. I stepped into the hallway. But before I could answer, I heard raised voices from outside, then gunshots. Klaus burst into the hallway. Boss, we have a problem. It's the Rodriguez family, 4 vehicles. Sophia was moving instantly, pulling a weapon from a desk drawer with practiced ease. How many women? 12, maybe 14. They're blocking the street. Sophia examined me, her expression shifting to something protective and fierce. Marcus, go to the back office. Lock the door. Don't come out until I retrieve you myself. What's occurring? Now her command in English was sharp. Klaus, take her to the back. Ensure nobody gets near that door. Klaus grabbed my arm, pulling me through the warehouse toward a back office. More gunshots outside, closer now. Women shouting in German, in English, threats, warnings. Remain here, Klaus said in English. Boss's orders. You don't come out for anyone except her. Understand? She departed, locking the door from the outside. I stood in the small office, hearing violence unfold beyond the walls, and realized precisely what I'd gotten myself into. This wasn't simply interpreting at meetings. This was genuine danger, genuine violence, genuine organized crime with deadly consequences. The gunfire lasted maybe 7 minutes. An eternity when you're trapped in a locked space, wondering if the woman you're falling for is about to perish. Then silence. Terrible, ominous silence. Finally, a knock. Marcus, it's me. Open up. Sophia's voice in English. I unlocked the door to discover Sophia looking rough, shirt torn, blood on her knuckles, but otherwise unharmed. Behind her, I could see the warehouse was destroyed. Broken glass, overturned tables, evidence of the fight that had just occurred. Are you hurt? She questioned in English. No, I'm fine. But you... I reached for her hands. The bloody knuckles. Are you injured? Scratches, nothing serious. She pulled me close. I'm sorry. I didn't want you to see this. Not so soon. Who were they? A rival family that thinks they can intimidate me. They were wrong. Now they understand. Her voice was cold in English. Sophia, I can't. This is too much. I understand. I understand it's too much. That's why I wanted to wait before involving you completely. Her hands cupped my face. But Marcus, you're already involved. From the moment you assisted my uncle, from the moment you came into this house, you became part of my existence. And in my existence, there are individuals who want to hurt me by using individuals I care about. You care about me? More than is secure for you, she admitted in English. And that's why I can't permit you to leave now. Not when the Rodriguez family knows about you, has seen you with me. You're in danger if you go, and you're in danger if you remain. But at minimum, if you remain, I can protect you. So I'm a prisoner? You're under my protection. There's a difference. Her intense eyes were fixed, and Marcus, I'm not going to apologize for wanting to keep you secure. After the attack, Sophia insisted I stay at the townhouse temporarily, which we both knew signified indefinitely. Thomas was thrilled, instantly setting me up in a guest room, and treating me like I'd always resided there. Finally, a woman in this house, he exclaimed in German, which I understood flawlessly. Sophia works too much. Klaus is always serious. You bring existence here. Uncle. Marcus is here for security, not to keep us company, Sophia said in English, but she was smiling. It can be both things, Thomas replied, additionally switching to English for my benefit. My existence changed overnight. I worked from the townhouse, interpreting documents, attending meetings virtually when possible. When I had to go out, Klaus or another guard accompanied me. My apartment in Park Slope sat empty while I resided in luxury with an elderly German man and the woman I was attempting not to fall in love with. This isn't normal, I disclosed Sophia one evening after supper. I can't reside like this forever. Why not? You have everything you require. Work, security, family. Freedom. I miss freedom. Freedom will get you killed if the Rodriguez family decides you're a way to get to me. Her voice was hard. I'm sorry, Marcus. I understand this isn't fair, but I'd rather have you alive and protected than free and in danger. What if I want both? Then we have to solve the Rodriguez situation permanently, she said. I'm working on it. Trust me. Weeks elapsed. I adjusted to my new existence, working for Sophia's organization, residing with her and Thomas, becoming part of their daily routine. The lines between professional interpreter and personal involvement blurred increasingly. You appreciate my niece, Thomas observed one afternoon while we cooked. He spoke in German, but I responded in English, our usual pattern. It's complicated, Thomas. Love is always complicated. Especially in our family, she switched to English. But she examines you the way she examined that woman years ago before she departed. What woman? Natalie. They were engaged. She couldn't handle the existence, the violence, the complications. She departed. Thomas's expression was sad. Sophia never fully recovered. She hasn't permitted herself to love anyone since. Until now. Until you. She examines you like she examined her, but this time is different. You're stronger. You won't run. I'm not so sure about that. Some nights I just want to run from all of this. But you don't. You remain. That states everything, Thomas said wisely. That evening Sophia requested me to participate her in her office. She looked tired, stressed, the weight of leadership evident in her expression. I discovered a way to solve the Rodriguez situation, she said, but it requires your assistance. What type of assistance? They need to meet with a German contact. Someone who can mediate, discover a compromise between our families. But they don't trust anyone connected to me. She pulled out a file. Accept a neutral interpreter who works for both sides. You want me to pretend to be neutral? To interpret for them while actually working for you? I want you to be precisely what you present yourself as. Someone who can interpret for both sides, facilitate a conversation that could end this conflict. Her intense eyes were serious. It's dangerous. If they discover you're closer to me than you appear, if they think you're working against them, you'd be in serious danger. Then why request me to accomplish it? Because you're the only individual both sides might trust. You're new enough that the Rodriguez family don't see you as completely on my side, but you're inside enough that I can trust you'll handle the circumstance right. She reached for my hand. I wouldn't request this if I wasn't desperate. But Marcus, if this works, if we can negotiate peace, you can go back to your existence, to your freedom. What if I don't want to go back anymore? Her expression shifted, hope, surprise, careful control. What do you signify? I signify I've gotten accustomed to residing here, having Thomas cook, working for your organization, seeing you every evening. If we solve this, if there's no more danger, do I have to leave all of this? Only if you want to, she said softly. Marcus, I fell in love with you weeks ago. I'm just waiting for you to realize the same about yourself. If you remain, it won't just be for security. It'll be because you want to be here with me. Despite all the complications, you're very presumptuous. I'm very in love. There's a difference. The meeting with the Rodriguez family was arranged for the following week. In neutral territory, a restaurant run by a family aligned with neither Sofia nor the Rodriguez family. I was to present myself as an independent interpreter, hired specifically for this meeting. Remember, Sofia instructed me the night before, don't display favoritism. Interpret everything accurately. Your employment is to facilitate communication, not take sides. What if they question about our relationship? Disclose the truth. That you initially met me assisting my uncle. That you now work as an interpreter for different German families. That I'm one of your clients. Her expression was serious. Don't lie, Marcus. Lies get complicated. Just don't volunteer more than they question. The meeting was tense from the start. Senora Rodriguez, an older woman with cold eyes and an air of barely contained violence, arrived with 8 guards. Sofia brought 6, including Klaus. I sat at the head of the table, literally between them, interpreting as they negotiated territory boundaries and financial arrangements. Request Bauer why I should believe anything she discloses, Senora Rodriguez said to me in Spanish. I interpreted faithfully into German. Sofia responded with careful diplomacy in German, and I interpreted that back to Spanish. Back and forth for 3 hours. Accusations, counteroffers, grudging compromises. Then Senora Rodriguez examined me directly and spoke in Spanish. You're the woman who resides with Bauer, right? The interpreter she took in? I responded in Spanish, which I then interpreted to German for Sofia's benefit. I'm staying in her family's house temporarily. I work for several German families. The Bauer family is one of them. But you're closer to her than to other clients, Rodriguez pressed in Spanish. I'm professional with all my clients. I replied in Spanish, then interpreted for the space. Even when you sleep in their house? She questioned in Spanish, her tone mocking. The space went quiet. Sofia's expression was controlled but dangerous. I could feel the tension escalating. Mr. Hoffman, her uncle, invited me to remain after there was a security issue. I said carefully in Spanish, then interpreted to German. I accepted because I felt it was more secure. But this doesn't affect my ability to interpret accurately for this meeting. Interesting. Rodriguez said in Spanish. Bauer keeps her interpreter in her house but wants me to believe she's neutral. I wonder what else they share. Before I could respond, Sofia spoke in Spanish directly to Rodriguez, bypassing me as interpreter for the first time. What I do or don't share with Marcus is irrelevant to our business. She's here to facilitate communication. If you don't trust her interpretations, bring your own interpreter. But don't insult her by making insinuations about her professionalism. I interpreted Sophia's words into German for the benefit of her women who didn't understand Spanish, maintaining my professional role even as my heart raced. So you defend her honor. How romantic, Rodriguez said in Spanish, which I interpreted. Perhaps we should discuss this agreement another time when your judgment isn't clouded by affection for your interpreter. The meeting ended badly. No agreement reached, tensions higher than before. As we departed, Sophia was furious. I'm sorry, I said in the vehicle. I ruined everything. You didn't ruin anything. Rodriguez was looking for an excuse to blow up the meeting. She used you as the reason, Sophia said in English. This signifies she has something else planned. Something she doesn't want to resolve peacefully. What do we accomplish? We prepare because whatever she's planning, it's gonna occur soon. Sophia was right. 4 days later, the Rodriguez family made their move. Not against Sophia directly, but against her business interests. They hit 5 of her legitimate storefronts in one night, causing damage and sending a message. She wants war, Klaus reported in English. This is her way of declaring it. Then she have war, Sophia said coldly. But on my terms, not hers. Over the next week, I watched Sophia transform into someone I'd only glimpsed before, the true crime boss. Not the devoted niece or the woman who examined me with such warmth, but someone else. Strategic, ruthless, coordinating responses that I deliberately didn't question about, but could guess involved violence. Are you afraid of me now? She questioned one evening in English. She'd come home late, exhausted, with that look that implied she'd accomplished something she couldn't take back. Should I be? Probably. She poured herself whiskey. I'm precisely what you've always known I was. A criminal, someone who uses violence to solve problems, someone who accomplishes things that would horrify you if you knew the details. But you've never hurt me. Not me, not Thomas, not individuals you love. No, but that doesn't make me good, Marcus. It just makes me selective about who I hurt. I moved to her, taking the glass from her hand. You're exhausted, stressed, fighting a war you didn't want, but have to win. You're not a monster, Sophia. You're just a woman in an impossible circumstance, accomplishing what she has to accomplish. Do you love me? Her question was direct, vulnerable. Yes, I admitted. Even though it's stupid, even though it's complicated, even though I probably should run, yes, I love you. She kissed me then, desperately. Like I was an anchor in a storm, and I kissed her back. Accepting finally that I'd chosen this existence. This woman, these complications. I love you. She murmured against my lips in English. Since you assisted my uncle, since you remained instead of running, since you examined my existence and chose to be part of it instead of condemning it. Then win this war with the Rodriguez family. Win it so we can have an existence together that's something more than hiding in this house. I will. I guarantee you. The war lasted 8 brutal weeks. 8 weeks of contained violence, strategic moves, sleepless nights waiting for Sophia to come home. Thomas prayed constantly. I learned to interpret orders that I knew would lead to violence without questioning for details. You've become like us, Klaus observed one evening in English. At first, you were nervous, scared. Now you interpret orders for operations like it's normal office work. I've adapted. What else can I accomplish? You could still leave. Nobody would stop you if you decided to go. Except myself. I'm already too involved to pretend I could go back to my old existence. I examined him. Besides, where would I go? The Rodriguez family knows who I am. Sophia disclosed I have information on both sides now. I'm a target wherever I go. Then you're one of us now. Not a civilian observer anymore. Your family. The war ended when Sophia discovered leverage the Rodriguez family couldn't ignore. Evidence of their involvement in something that would bring federal attention. She presented it through intermediaries. Back down or face prosecution that would destroy their entire organization. Senora Rodriguez accepted the terms. Territory agreements were redrawn, financial compensations made, and an uneasy peace established. It's over, Sophia disclosed me when she came home that night, speaking English. The Rodriguez family accepted the terms. No more war, are we secure? As secure as anyone can be in my world, she pulled me close. Which signifies you need to decide what you want to accomplish now. You can go back to your apartment, to your existence, or you can remain here with me permanently. What does permanently signify? It signifies marry me. Become officially part of my family. Not just the interpreter who resides here or the woman I'm protecting, but my wife. Her intense eyes were fixed. I love you, Marcus. I want you to remain, not because you have to, but because you choose to be with me. Don't you want to marry me? We've only known each other 7 months. I knew I wanted to marry you after 3 weeks. The rest of the time was just waiting for you to reach the identical conclusion. She pulled out a ring box. So, will you marry a crime boss who's hopelessly in love with you? I examined the ring. Simple, elegant, obviously costly, but not ostentatious. Then it's Sophia, this complicated woman who'd brought me into her world and protected me through its dangers. Yes, I said in English. I'll marry you. Even though it's crazy, even though my existence has become something I never imagined. Yes, I'll marry you. Her smile was brilliant. She slipped the ring on my finger and kissed me deeply. In the hallway, when we broke apart, Thomas was standing nearby, tears streaming down his face. Finally, he exclaimed in German. I thought you'd never request. We need to start planning instantly. A proper German wedding, family, food. Uncle, we just got engaged, Sophia said in German with amusement. And you're already over 32. We don't have time to waste. He responded in German, then switched to English for my benefit. You'll see, Marcus. We'll make it beautiful. The wedding was planned for 4 months later. Thomas insisted on accomplishing it appropriately. Traditional German ceremony. Reception with hundreds of guests. Every detail flawless. It's too much, I protested in English as he showed me the ever-growing guest list. It's your first and only wedding. It has to be flawless, Thomas said, switching from German to English mid-sentence. Everyone must see that Sophia has discovered someone worthy of her. Thomas, I'm not sure I'm worthy of her. Don't be silly. You're flawless for her. You keep her human. Remind her there's more than violence and power. She's worthy of you. Not the other way around. Working for Sophia's organization became my full-time career. I interpreted for meetings, handled communications with German families, even traveled to Hamburg to meet with Frau Schneider about business arrangements. I was excellent at it, superior to Sophia had anticipated. You've become indispensable, she disclosed me one evening in English after a particularly successful negotiation. Half the families we work with prefer communicating through you rather than directly with me. Because I'm neutral, not threatening. I facilitate business without intimidation. That's precisely why you're so valuable. You have a talent for this, Marcus. For navigating between different families, maintaining relationships, discovering compromises. She kissed me softly. You've made me a superior woman and a superior boss. I don't know if being a superior boss is genuinely a compliment. In my world, it is. A superior boss signifies less violence, more stability, happier families. You've assisted me achieve that. The wedding was precisely as Thomas had envisioned. Traditional, elaborate, flawless. The church was packed with Sophia's family and associates, my small handful of friends, looking slightly overwhelmed by the display of German Catholic tradition and obvious crime presence. Are you sure about this? David whispered before the ceremony in English. He was one of 4 non-German speakers present. This is a lot. More sure than I've ever been about anything. I walked down the aisle to Sophia waiting at the altar, looking devastatingly handsome in her tuxedo. The ceremony was conducted in German with English interpretations provided, traditional vows, traditional blessings. The priest obviously familiar with the Bauer family despite their criminal connections. I love you, Sophia said in English when it was time for our vows. I guarantee to protect you, honor you, and love you for all the days of my existence. You're my light in the darkness. I love you, I responded in English. I guarantee to stand by your side, support your choices, and love the woman you are. Not despite the complications, but including them. You're my heart. The reception was massive, hundreds of individuals. More food than seemed possible. Dancing and laughter and toasts in both German and English. Frau Schneider made a speech in German that I interpreted for the English speakers about how the Bauer family was blessed to have discovered someone who bridged their world with the old country so effortlessly. To the bride, she concluded in German, raising her glass. May she bring honor to the Bauer name. Later, alone with Sophia in our suite at the hotel where we'd spend our wedding night before flying to Germany for a honeymoon, I finally permitted myself fully process what I'd accomplished. I'm a crime spouse now, I said in English, examining my wedding ring. Officially part of a criminal organization. Do you regret it? No, but it's surreal. 7 months ago, I was just assisting a lost tourist. Now I'm married to a crime boss, work for her organization, and just guaranteed to stand by her side for existence. And I guaranteed to love you and protect you for the rest of mine. She pulled me into her arms. I'll never lie to you, Marcus. My existence is dangerous. There will be moments of fear, danger, difficulty. But we'll go through everything together. Together, I concurred, kissing her. I can't believe all this started because I spoke German with your uncle. The best things in my existence started in unexpected ways. My uncle gave me you, and you gave me a reason to be something more than what my mother wanted me to be. What did she want you to be? Ruthless, feared, just power without compassion. She touched my face gently. You taught me I can be powerful and have a heart. That I can lead my family and love my woman. That I don't have to be a monster just because my employment requires difficult decisions. Our honeymoon in Bavaria was beautiful. 3 weeks visiting Thomas's hometown, meeting distant relatives, exploring the countryside. Sophia was more relaxed than I'd ever seen her, temporarily free from the weight of leadership. We could remain here, I suggested one evening in English. We were sitting on a terrace overlooking the Alps, wine in hand, perfectly content. Leave the organization, live a normal existence in Germany. Tempting, but irresponsible. I have obligations, individuals who depend on me. I can't just walk away. She squeezed my hand. But maybe someday when I'm old and ready to pass leadership to someone else, maybe then we can retire here, live in peace. I'd appreciate that. 25 years, she guaranteed in English. When I've accomplished enough for the family that nobody can say I abandoned my duties, then we'll come here. You and me and whatever children we have by then. Children. That was the first time she'd mentioned it. Eventually, not right away. It's not secure to bring children into my world until I'm ready to protect them completely. But someday, yes. I want kids with you. I want a family that's more than crime and violence. I want to build something excellent in the middle all the bad. Back in New York, existence settled into routine. I worked as Sophia's interpreter and liaison to German families. Managed communications that kept her organization running smoothly. I'd become an essential part of operations, not through violence but through diplomacy and language abilities. You're the most unusual spouse I've ever met, Frau Schneider commented during one of her visits, speaking German which I interpreted. Most women in our world remain aside, permit the men handle business. You're at the center of everything. I have useful abilities. It would be a waste not to use them, I replied in German, then interpreted my own words to English for Sophia's women who didn't understand the language. Bauer is fortunate to have you, not just as a spouse, but as a business partner. This is rare in our world. A year into our marriage, Thomas's health began declining. He was 84, had been active and vibrant, but age finally caught up. We took care of him at home, Sophia refusing to send him to a hospital, insisting he be comfortable in his own house. I'm sorry to leave you, he disclosed me one afternoon in German. We were alone, Sophia handling business downstairs. Don't say that, Thomas. You'll be fine, I replied in German. No, dear, I understand when it's time. He squeezed my hand, switching to English. But I'm happy. I saw Sophia happy, married to an excellent woman. I saw her become the person her mother never was. This is because of you. It's because of her. She chose to be different. She chose because you showed her she could choose. Before you, she thought she was only what her mother wanted. You gave her options. Gave her hope. His eyes were bright with tears. Take care of her, Marcus. She's strong but has a tender heart. Don't permit her world harden her too much. I guarantee, Thomas. He passed away peacefully in his sleep 5 days later. Sophia was devastated. He'd raised her, been more parent than her actual mother who died when she was young. The funeral was massive, hundreds of individuals paying respects to a man who'd been beloved by everyone who knew him. It's my fault, Sophia said the night after the funeral in English. We were alone in our room, the townhouse too quiet without Thomas's presence. The pressure of my existence, the war with the Rodriguez family, it was too much for him. He was 84 years old. He lived a full existence, saw you happy. This isn't your fault, Sophia. But if I'd chosen a different existence, if I hadn't been involved in all this. He was proud of you. He disclosed me you became the woman your mother never was. That you gave him the chance to see you genuinely happy before he died. I held her close. You didn't fail him. You gave him precisely what he needed. A niece who loved him, a niece-in-law who treated him like family. And peace knowing you wouldn't be alone. She cried then. Something I'd never seen her accomplish. Grieving not just for her uncle, but for the innocence he'd represented. The connection to a simpler time before violence and power had defined her existence. Let's guarantee something, she said after in English. When we have children, they won't grow up like I did. They'll have choices. They won't be obligated into the family business just because it's tradition. I guarantee. Whatever children we have will have the freedom to choose their own path. 3 years after Thomas's death, I discovered I was pregnant. The news sent Sophia into a state of protective overdrive that would have been amusing if it wasn't so intense. You're not working anymore, she announced instantly in English when I disclosed her. Not until after the baby is born, maybe not even then. Sophia, I'm pregnant, not fragile. I can still interpret documents from home. Documents fine. But no more in-person meetings, no more traveling to other families. You remain here where it's secure. Her expression was fierce. Someone could use you to get to me. Now that you're carrying my child, you're even more valuable as a target dot, so I'm a prisoner again? You're protected. There's a difference. She pulled me close, one hand moving to my still flat stomach. I can't lose you, either of you. I'll accomplish whatever it takes to keep you secure. The pregnancy was smooth but felt endless with Sophia's hovering. She increased security, limited my travel, insisted I work only from home. It was suffocating but additionally touching. Seeing this dangerous woman transformed into a worried expectant parent, you're gonna make him paranoid. I disclosed her one evening in English. We'd learned we were having a boy. All this security, all this protection. He'll grow up thinking the world is dangerous. The world is dangerous, especially for my son. She was reviewing security camera feeds on her phone. I need to guarantee nothing can touch him or you. Nothing will touch us. We have more security than the president. You need to relax. I'll relax when he's born healthy and both of you are secure. Alexander, we named him after Thomas's father, arrived 4 weeks early. He was flawless, healthy, and instantly the most protected baby in New York. Sophia hired a security team specifically for him, installed cameras throughout the house, and made it clear to every family in the city that her son was completely off limits. You're being overprotective, I said in English, watching her check the nursery monitors for the 4th time that hour. I'm being appropriate. There are individuals who would use him to get to me. I won't permit that occur. She pulled up the camera feeds on her phone. I understand I'm being paranoid, but Marcus, he's everything. You and him, you're my entire world. If anything occurred, nothing's going to occur. We have security, we're careful, and everyone knows touching us signifies war with you. That's significant deterrent. I took her phone away. Come hold your son instead of watching him on screens. Balancing parenthood with my interpretation work was challenging but manageable. I worked from home, accomplished virtual consultations when possible, and brought Alexander to meetings when necessary, surrounded by security and making it clear he was off limits to business discussions. He's adorable, Frau Schneider said at one meeting in German, which I interpreted. Alexander was sleeping in his carrier beside me. And you're handling this excellently. Being a parent in our world isn't easy. Neither is being a parent anywhere. At minimum here, I have resources, security, assistance. Individuals who understand the complications, I replied in German, interpreting for Sophia's benefit. Just remember, he'll grow up in this world. He'll learn things normal children don't. You and Bauer need to decide early how much of her business he'll eventually understand. That conversation occurred when Alexander was 3. Sophia and I sat in her office discussing his future in English. I want him to have choices I didn't, Sophia said. I was born into this, expected to take over operations. But Alex, he should be able to choose something legitimate if he wants. He'll still grow up knowing what you accomplish, knowing his mother runs a criminal organization. We can't hide that from him forever. No, but we can give him options. Education, opportunities, ways out if he doesn't want this existence. She examined me. What about you? Do you want him involved in your operations, learning the interpretation work like you accomplished? Only if he's interested, and only the legitimate parts until he's old enough to understand the rest and make informed choices. I thought about it. I don't want to force him into this world, but I additionally don't want to lie about it. He deserves honesty about his family. Then we'll be honest, age appropriately but honest. He'll understand what I accomplish, what you accomplish, what our world is. And then when he's old enough, he can decide if he wants to be part of it or walk away completely. You'd genuinely permit him walk away if he wanted a normal existence. I'd accomplish anything to give him a normal existence, even if that signifies he grows up and wants nothing to accomplish with the family business. Her expression was pained. He deserves superior than this world. Superior than me. If he can have that, I'll support it completely. He has the best mother. That's already superior to many kids get. The rest we'll figure out together. Alexander grew into a bright, curious child who questioned too many things and saw too much despite our attempts to shelter him. By age 7, he'd figured out his mother wasn't a normal businesswoman. Why do individuals look scared when they talk to Mama? He questioned me one day in English. He questioned in English. Because Mama's extremely important. She makes big decisions that affect a lot of individuals. Is she a good person or a bad person? That question made me pause. How did you explain moral complexity to a 7-year-old? Your mama who loves you. That's the most important thing. The rest is complicated adult stuff you'll understand when you're older. Okay, he accepted that easily. Going back to his drawing. But I knew the questions would only get harder as he got older. At 12, he questioned directly. Is Mama in organized crime? Sophia and I exchanged glances. We'd concurred to be honest when he questioned directly. Yes, Sophia said simply in English. I run an organization that operates outside the law. It's not legal, but it's what I accomplish, what my family has always accomplished. Are you a bad person? That's for you to decide. I attempt to be a good mother, a good spouse, someone who protects individuals she cares about. But I've accomplished things that aren't good, things that hurt individuals. She knelt to his level. I won't lie to you about what I am, Alex. But I additionally want you to understand that I love you more than anything. That will never change, no matter what you learn about my work. He thought about it seriously. Do I have to accomplish what you accomplish when I grow up? No, you can be anything you want. Doctor, teacher, artist, anything. This world is your choice, not your obligation. Good, because I think I want to be an architect. Buildings are superior to people. She hugged him. But you're still my mama. Even if you're a criminal. Even if I'm a criminal. She concurred, holding him close. After he went to bed, she looked shaken. He understands, genuinely understands, and he doesn't hate me. Because he loves you. Because you're a good mother despite your profession. That's what matters to him. I took her hand. We're accomplishing this right, being honest, giving him choices, showing him there's more to existence than the family business. He'll be acceptable. I hope so because I want superior for him than what I had. Want him to have a genuine choice about his future. He will.
We're guaranteeing of it. Alexander chose normality.
At 19, he went to college for architecture, moved into a dormitory with regular students, and built an existence completely separate from Sophia's world.
He loved us, visited regularly, but made it clear he wanted no part of the family business.
I'm proud of him, Sophia said in English, watching him drive away after a weekend visit.
He saw what we are and chose something superior.
That takes courage. Are you disappointed that he's not taking over your operations? Relieved. I never wanted this existence for him. Wanted him to have choices I didn't. She pulled me close. He's happy, secure, building a legitimate career. That's worth more than having an heir to the business. What occurs to your organization when you retire? I've been training Klaus. He'll take over operations, keep things running.
The family name will persist without requiring our son to sacrifice his future for it.
She kissed my forehead. I'm getting too old for this anyway.
Maybe it's time to step back, focus on being a grandmother someday. Grandmother? You think Alex is gonna have kids?
Eventually. And when he does, I want to be the normal grandmother who spoils them, not the criminal grandmother they have to hide from friends.
Her expression was thoughtful.
I've been thinking about this more about legacy. What do I want to leave behind? A criminal empire or a family that's happy and secure? You can have both. You've already built a family that's happy and secure despite the empire. Maybe. But I'm tired, Marcus. Tired of the violence, the constant vigilance, the moral compromises. I've been accomplishing this for 28 years. Maybe it's time to permit Klaus handle operations while I transition to legitimate businesses only. I'd never heard her talk like this, contemplating retirement, wanting normality. What would you accomplish if you step back from the organization?
Focus on our legitimate holdings, the real estate, the restaurants, the legal import businesses.
We have enough legitimate wealth that we don't need the criminal operations anymore. They're just habit and obligation at this point. She examined me. What about you? Would you walk away from the interpretation work?
I've been thinking about that too.
I'm 47 now. Alexander's grown, we're financially secure. Maybe it's time to just be a legitimate consultant instead of one who works for crime families. We could accomplish it together. Transition out. Become the boring legitimate couple who used to be interesting criminals. She smiled. Think you could handle boring? I think boring sounds flawless after 23 years of complicated. The transition took 4 years of careful planning. Sophia handed operations to Klaus piece by piece, ensuring smooth succession. I referred my crime family clients to other interpreters, slowly extracting myself from illegal operations. By the time we were finished, we were just wealthy business owners with a questionable past. This is weird, I said one evening in English. We were having supper at home, just the two of us, no business discussions, no security meetings. Being normal, having a quiet evening without worrying about territories or rivals or federal investigations. Boring like we planned. Sophia poured wine. Any regrets? Not one, though I do miss the excitement occasionally. The challenge of facilitating negotiations, interpreting for powerful women, operating in moral gray areas. We can get our excitement elsewhere. Travel, hobbies, spoiling future grandchildren. She raised her glass. To boring normality after 23 years of organized crime. To normality, and to the weird path that got us here. Alexander married at 31. An architect like himself, someone completely removed from our world. The wedding was traditional, boring, flawless. I watched Sophia walk our son down the aisle and saw emotion she rarely showed. Pride, joy, relief that he'd built an existence so different from hers. He accomplished it, she said at the reception in English. Built something completely separate from us, clean, legitimate, normal. Because we gave him that option.
supported his choices even when they took him away from the family business.
I squeezed her hand. We accomplished parenting right, Sophia, despite the complications. 3 years later, Alexander announced his wife was pregnant. Sophia's face when he disclosed us, pure joy mixed with terror, made me laugh. You're gonna be a grandmother. That signifies you're old, I teased in English. I'm 58, that's not old. But she was already planning, talking about security for her grandchild. Sophia, stop. Alex chose a normal existence. That includes normal grandparent relationships, no security teams for a suburban baby. But what if my enemies? Your enemies are Klaus's problem now. You're retired. Your grandson will grow up completely normal, never knowing his grandmother used to run a criminal organization. You think we can genuinely accomplish that? Keep our past from affecting his future? I think we've been accomplishing it successfully with Alexander for years. We can accomplish it again with his son. I'm writing a paper on moral complexity. He disclosed us one evening. He was in graduate school now, studying urban planning and ethics. Using your story as a case study, with your permission. How excellent individuals can make bad choices in complicated circumstances. We're your case study? Sophia looked entertained. That's certainly one way to process having criminal grandparents. You're flawless for it. You were criminals who had ethics, who drew lines, who eventually walked away. That's more interesting than simple excellent or evil. He pulled out his notes. Can I interview you both, get your perspectives on the choices you made? We spent hours answering his questions in English. About how Sophia had inherited her position. Felt obligated to continue what her family built. About how I'd fallen in love despite the danger. Discovered purpose in illegal work. About the lines we'd drawn. No hurting civilians, no involving children. No unnecessary violence. You created your own moral code within an immoral framework, Lucas observed. That's fascinating from an ethics perspective. You weren't excellent individuals accomplishing bad things or bad individuals pretending to be excellent. You were complex individuals making complicated choices in a system that didn't permit for simple morality. That's an extremely academic way of saying we were criminals with standards, I said in English. But it's accurate, isn't it? You operated outside the law, but maintained internal ethics. That's worth examining. His paper earned high marks. His professor wanted to meet us, the former criminals who'd inspired an ethical analysis. We declined politely. Some parts of our past were superior left as academic abstracts rather than personal interviews. At 78, Sophia's health started declining. Nothing dramatic, just the slow accumulation of age, arthritis, heart issues, the price of decades of stress and danger. She retired completely from even our legitimate businesses, spending her days reading, gardening, spoiling great-grandchildren when they visited. I'm getting old, she said one evening in English. We were sitting on the back patio, watching the sunset. Can't pretend otherwise anymore. You're distinguished, Silver Fox, aging gracefully. I took her hand. Still strong despite the arthritis. Still bearing the scars of her past. We're both getting old. That's what occurs when you survive past 7-8. Do you think we lived excellent existences? Despite the choices we made? The things we accomplished? I think we lived full existences. Complicated, morally ambiguous, occasionally dangerous, but full. We loved each other, raised a good son, protected our family, eventually walked away and built something legitimate. I squeezed her hand. That's more than many individuals accomplish, legal or not. I love you. Have loved you since that day you assisted my uncle at Grand Central. You examined him with such kindness, at me without fear even when you should have been afraid. You've been the best part of my existence, Marcus, the thing I'm most proud of. Not your criminal empire. Not the power you wielded. That was survival. You were a choice. You were the decision I made for myself. Not for family obligation or business necessity. Loving you. Building an existence with you. That was the only thing I accomplished that was purely mine. Alexander and Lucas came to visit more frequently as Sophia's health declined. Brought Lucas's children, now 4 of them, ranging from infant to 8 years old. They'd climb on their great-grandmother's lap, demanding stories, making her laugh in ways that seemed to revitalize her temporarily. Disclose us about the old neighborhood, Great Oma, the oldest would say in English. About your friends and the exciting things you accomplished. The old neighborhood was loud and crowded and full of interesting individuals, Sophia would say, carefully editing her stories for young ears.
We worked hard, took care of each other, built businesses that lasted.
It was a different time. Were you famous? In my neighborhood, yes. Individuals knew my name, respected my family.
But famous like movie stars? No, we were just local businesswomen who were excellent at what we accomplished. After the children departed,
she'd be exhausted but happy. They'll never fully understand what I was, what we were, and that's excellent.
They can just understand their great-grandparents as old individuals who disclose stories and give them cookies.
That's all they require to understand.
The rest is history that doesn't affect their futures. At 81, Sophia had a heart attack, minor, manageable, but a wake-up call. We spent more time discussing end-of-existence wishes, what we wanted for funerals, how to handle estates.
I want it simple,
she said in English.
No crime funeral with hundreds of individuals paying respects. Just family, Alexander, Lucas, the great-grandchildren. Klaus if he's still around. What about the organization, the families you worked with?
They have their own leadership now. I'm just history to them, old stories they disclose new recruits about how things used to be.
She squeezed my hand.
I don't want my funeral to be about what I was.
I want it to be about who I became, your spouse, Alexander's mother.
A grandmother who attempted to give her family superior than what she had. We made it to our 53rd wedding anniversary.
A milestone we'd never imagined during those chaotic early years. The family threw a party. Just immediate relatives. Nothing elaborate. But it was flawless.
53 years with the identical individual, Lucas said in his toast in English. That's remarkable in any context. But 53 years starting from a chance encounter assisting a lost uncle.
That's fate. That's love. 53 years of corrupting your Omi. Sophia added to laughter, turning a freelance interpreter into a crime consultant.
I'm extremely proud of that accomplishment. 53 years of reforming your Oma, I countered,
turning a crime boss into a boring legitimate businesswoman who spoils great-grandchildren.
I'm proud of that too. Later, alone in our room, we examined photos from throughout our relationship. That first meeting at Grand Central, our wedding, Alexander's graduation, Lucas's birth, decades of moments captured and preserved.
We accomplished excellent,
Sophia said softly in English. Despite everything, the violence, the illegality, the complications, we built something genuine, something that lasted.
That's rare. We accomplished it by being honest with each other. With Alexander, eventually with Lucas. No pretending you were superior than you were, that I was less involved than I was.
Just truth and acceptance and love.
Lots of love. She kissed me gently. Thank you for 53 years, for choosing this existence, these complications, this woman who didn't deserve you but got fortunate anyway. You deserved me. We deserved each other. Two complicated individuals who discovered each other and made it work despite the odds. Sophia passed away 3 years later. In her sleep, peacefully. She'd lived to 83, seen her great-grandchildren grow, spent her final years as boring and normal and loved. Her funeral was precisely as she'd wanted, small, family-focused, celebrating the woman she'd become rather than what she'd been. Lucas delivered the eulogy in English. My Oma was complicated. She was a criminal who became legitimate, a dangerous woman who was gentle with her family, someone who made bad choices early but spent decades making superior ones. She loved deeply. Her spouse, her son, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. That love defined her more than any business she ran. She was my Oma, and I'm grateful for every story she disclosed. Every cookie she snuck me. Every moment I got to understand her as just a grandmother rather than the legend she used to be. I spent 4 more years alone in the townhouse before my own health declined.
I'd lived a full existence, 86 years of complexity, love, and choices that made sense at the time. I left detailed letters for Lucas and the great-grandchildren, explaining my choices, hoping they'd understand. "You're being morbid," Alexander said when I explained what I'd accomplished. "I'm being practical. Your mother and I lived complicated existences. I want to guarantee our stories disclosed honestly after I'm gone, not romanticized or condemned, just understood."
The letters will accomplish that. You've explained everything clearly. They'll understand, Mom. I passed away peacefully 8 months later. My funeral mirrored Sophia's small family-focused, celebrating a complicated existence honestly lived. Lucas spoke again, his voice steady despite tears in English.
Omi taught me that individuals aren't simple, that you can make questionable choices and still be excellent, that love doesn't require moral perfection, just honesty.
She fell in love with a criminal and chose that existence fully informed. She assisted with illegal operations while maintaining her own ethics.
She was my Omi who taught me about languages and courage and accepting complexity. I'm superior for having known her. Years later, Lucas published an expanded version of his ethics paper, a book about moral complexity and organized crime, using our story as the central case study. It was successful, prompting discussions about how individuals navigate impossible circumstances. He dedicated it to Oma and Omi, who taught me that simple morality is a luxury complex individuals don't have. Thank you for your honesty, your love, and your example of surviving impossible circumstances while maintaining humanity. Your story deserves to be disclosed truthfully, not as heroes or villains, but as individuals. And that was our legacy. Not as criminals who got away with it, but as complicated individuals who made difficult choices, loved deeply despite moral ambiguity, and built a family that thrived despite the darkness we'd navigated. We'd never been simple, but we'd been genuine, and in the end, that was enough.
The townhouse in Queens still stands, now owned by Alexander's youngest daughter,
an artist who knows nothing of its history except what's written in Lucas's book. The old neighborhood has changed, gentrified, transformed into something unrecognizable from when Sophia ran operations there.
Klaus passed away at 91, having lived long enough to see the organization he'd inherited dissolve completely.
Replaced by legitimate businesses and distant memories, Lucas's book sits on university reading lists.
Discussed in ethics classes.
Analyzed by students who see our story as an academic exercise rather than real lives lived in gray areas. His great-grandchildren, my great-great-grandchildren,
will grow up knowing their ancestors were complicated.
That family history isn't always something to be proud of, but it's always worth understanding. Sometimes at family gatherings, when Lucas is feeling nostalgic, he'll share stories about us. Not the sanitized versions he told his children when they were young, but the honest ones. About how his Oma ran protection rackets and settled disputes with violence when necessary.
About how his Omi facilitated communications that kept illegal operations running smoothly. About how we loved each other fiercely despite the moral compromises our work required. And his children, now adults themselves, listen with fascination to these stories of relatives they never met. They ask questions. They try to understand how good people can make bad choices, how love can flourish in darkness, how legacy is more complicated than simple judgments of right and wrong. That's what I wanted, I think, if I could see it now. Not to be remembered as heroes who did no wrong, but as real people who navigated impossible circumstances as best we could. Who chose love when we could have chosen safety. Who eventually chose legitimacy when we could have stayed in power. Who gave our children and grandchildren choices we never had. Sophia would have appreciated it too.
She always said she didn't want to be remembered as a crime boss, but as someone who loved her family more than anything else. Someone who worked hard to give them a better life than she'd had. Someone who eventually walked away from power because peace mattered more. The story doesn't end with our deaths.
It continues in Alexander's architecture, in Lucas's ethics work,
in the great-grandchildren who pursue their dreams without the shadow of criminal obligation hanging over them. It continues in the choices they make, informed by our history but not constrained by it. That's the real gift we gave them.
Not money, though there's plenty of that from our legitimate businesses. Not connections, though the Bauer name still carries weight in certain circles. But freedom. The freedom to be whoever they want to be, to make their own choices, to live lives that aren't predetermined by family tradition or criminal legacy. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't stopped that day at Grand Central Station. If I'd walked past Thomas like everyone else, too busy with my own life to notice an elderly man in distress. Would Sophia have found someone else? Would she have eventually left the criminal world on her own? Would her story have ended differently? But those questions don't matter now. What matters is what actually happened. I stopped. I helped. I fell in love. I chose a complicated life with a complicated woman, and together we built something that lasted. We weren't perfect. We made choices that hurt people, that broke laws, that compromised our ethics. But we also loved deeply, protected fiercely, and eventually chose a better path. We gave our son the freedom to build a legitimate life. We gave our grandson the gift of normalcy. We gave our great-grandchildren a future unburdened by the weight of our past. And in the end, lying in that hospital bed in my final days, I had no regrets. Not about falling in love with a crime boss. Not about facilitating illegal operations. Not about the years spent living in moral gray areas. Because all of it, every complicated choice, every moral compromise, every dangerous moment, led to a life well lived. To love that lasted over 5 decades. To a family that thrived despite everything. To a legacy that's more than just the crimes we committed or the laws we broke. We were Marcus and Sophia Bauer, an interpreter and a crime boss who fell in love at Grand Central Station. Who built a criminal empire and then dismantled it. Who chose each other every day for 53 years. Through danger and peace. Through violence and quiet domesticity. Through the dark years and the light ones. And our story, complicated and messy and morally ambiguous as it is finally being told honestly. Not romanticized, not condemned, but understood. Just as we wanted. Just as we deserved. That's enough. That's everything.